So I appreciate you guys and your time today. Before I even jump in, obviously today we're going to be talking about common marketing and lead generation issues, and obviously how to solve patient acquisition issues that offices typically run into. I'm going to share my screen in a second, but before I do, I figure just keep everybody's camera kind of big, at least for the moment, since I'm not a Google Meeting pro. Foster from my team's on here as well. I'm sure he's going to chime in as I go. I'm going to try and make this as like condensed as possible because I don't think people have a million and 1 minutes free, especially like over lunch. So yeah, I think that's it. Foster, if you want to give a little rundown while I'm sharing my screen, feel
Yeah,
free to go ahead and do that.
absolutely. For those listening to the recording and those attending our webinar today, who we are, if you didn't see our spotlight that we did the other week with Natasha and her team, we're an advertising and consulting agency. We've been around 14 years, started as a website agency, and then slowly grew through our roots into bringing in cash-based patients for things like weight loss, body contouring, neuropathy, joint pain, shockwave, decompression. The list goes on, but there are certain things that we absolutely specialize in. And so being us representing millions and millions and millions of dollars a year in ad spend, we have heard every story. You should see our calendars. It is every day. We are on back-to-back phone calls discussing with people who are on our current success strategies in advertising and implementation of certain sales processes and other strategies. But on the other end, I'm also receiving people every day as the primary person discussing these strategies to bring them into offices. And what's the first thing I ask? Why are you looking at another agency and what do you run into? And just as a pain patient, as a weight loss patient, as a office like you, all of y'all pretty much have experienced the same program in one way or another, and all of your problems are very similar. So I think what Andrew is going to be presenting here today is going to give us a lot of familiar notions of what we've experienced in the past, make you not feel so crazy if you never had someone to discuss this with. And then, of course, what some real solutions internally as well as professionally that we'd like to offer you here. So there you go.
Cool. Thanks, Foster.
Yeah, Corey,
Hopefully this works. Can you guys see my screen? Like I
perfectly.
said, I'm not a Google Meetings pro guy, so I
You're good.
like I like doing it the informal way and keeping my screen up here, but I figure if I can zoom in just a little bit, I think that's good. Can you guys see this just fine? Is that fine?
Perfect. Yeah, you could
Cool.
even do presentation mode if you want. Slideshow top.
Nah, I think that's too fancy for me.
More than
I
fair.
think that's fine though. So obviously, like I said, today's call and webinar is really, whether you're here or you're listening to the recording, is going to be about solving the biggest problems in patient acquisition. So key overviews here, main challenges really that offices face. There are three of them. There's a lack of leads. Leads aren't showing up for their appointments, and then they're not following up. They're not being followed up with properly. So obviously, there's a massive impact on the practice with this being a problem, because you would be shocked at the number of offices that we talk to on a day-to-day basis where we hear that they say, oh, I've never, I don't remember submitting my information for this stuff. All of the patients that we do talk to maybe aren't qualified. Maybe the people that do book an appointment, they aren't properly able to be scheduled. It's a really common problem, and we hear it time after time with almost all of our clients. So, like I said, my whole goal for today's video is just to really nail down on what those are and how my team solves them, and then maybe you can take something from that and deploy it into your system. So, and then I think Foster also has something. Foster, tell me if you're wrong. I think you have a script as well that
Yes.
we'll cover once we get there, but
Yeah.
we'll
So
also have that to pass out too.
just
So,
give you a good teaser in that, right? A lot of agencies, they'll put $49 or $47 on an offer, but the patient's supposed to pay it in office or something like that. Well, if they don't show up, they'll never pay it. And then they're telling you to collect the prepayment over the phone. But how do you make that reasonable and follow through those common objections? How do you sound reasonable and make it sound like this is what people actually do, normalize it? So I have a really good script I'll give you all, and I'll fit it in properly when the time's right.
cool. Yeah. So why marketing fails? So number one, lack of automation, right? If you're doing everything manually, you're going to lose because there are offices out there that have almost everything automated. And unfortunately, now I think that if you're still doing things the way that people were doing it 5 years ago, there's a big disconnect because no matter how perfect of a job you do, it's impossible for you to manage relationships and remember all these specific details about individual patients by just having a note, or maybe not even taking a note. As horrible as it sounds, a lot of our clients that still are kind of stuck in that old way of doing things, they really don't take many notes, not to rag on them. Like, I understand everybody has their own different game plans and stuff, but a lack of automation is nonetheless one of the issues. Whether it's, consistency, or it's driving a certain message to people that delivers a result, whatever it may be. Expensive call centers is another thing. So right now, there's a pool of marketing companies that will either suggest or recommend a follow-up company. I'm not going to name them, but there are a few out there. None of them really get a phenomenal result. There are marketing companies as well that have their own like internal call centers. I've never had one of our clients say that they get a phenomenal over-the-top response or result from those call centers. And I think the big thing where call centers really seem to fail at is simply they have a really good person that deploys a strategy or a system that you lay out for them. They fail to execute on that over a period of time, and then people leave and people join the team, and as someone leaves and maybe a new person joins, now your entire business is revolving around the fact that a person maybe that's over in a call center over in the Philippines keeps their job, right? Which is a big, big responsibility, to that one specific person. And if they leave, your entire business tanks overnight because you no longer have someone. On top of that, they aren't pros at answering questions from patients. They're more of a yes, no, and a little pre-qualification here and there. Call centers are really expensive. And once again, the agent's typically not changed. The other thing that I have here is fragmented systems. Fragmented systems in plain English is you have different systems where you track different leads. So for a lot of our clients, even if they're not using us for marketing, they're going to consolidate all of their lead flow into one account that we set up for them. Not only do we not charge for it, but it also just makes it a lot easier for them to have it all in one spot and have it be properly organized. That way you don't need to flick through 4 or 5 different campaign pages at one time through 3 different logins. Most marketing companies will say that you're not able to transfer data in, but I can guarantee any leads that you have from any other companies, we're able to transfer into our system and maybe help you automate a little bit of your process. And that's just something that we do for free. So as a result, obviously, when you have a lot of different screens that you need to look at, and especially if you're running around or your staff are running around because you're a busy office, or maybe you're not a busy office, but you're trying to be, right? Patients do end up getting lost in the system, and it ends up costing you money, even though you're still paying for the advertisements and the ad spend. So, anything so far, Foster, that you want to add?
No, I mean, I think the greatest issue with a lot of lead generation is the barrier to entry is very low. That's not just in prepayments.
Yep.
Getting leads to prepay isn't always applicable, like a neuropathy consult, for example. My daddy is freshly 64 years old, and thankful to say, and thank God that he beat stage 2 colon cancer. But he left with a lifelong neuropathy that can't be solved, but can be managed. Well, let's say my dad wants to see if there's a way to get further help, and of all places, he finds it on Facebook. And he's the type of guy that doesn't have an Amazon, hates to text. And I'm surprised he knows how to navigate Facebook. I remember one day when I was like 22 years old, we were sitting down for coffee, and we found over 5 years of people that had tried to reach out to him on Facebook Messenger. To say the least, a lot of people are like my dad. They don't know how to navigate the internet, and maybe they won't put their card information online for a neuropathy consultation, right? So that's the first barrier. Let's say you can't get a quality lead through a prepayment because the market either won't prepay because they're like my dad, or there's nothing for them to prepay for. Maybe you have a hard time at getting your time valued, right? So the other end in a lot of lead generation and things like neuropathy, weight loss, contouring is they'll run a really poor instant form advertisement. And if you don't know what that term is, instant form is, well, we've all experienced it. You click learn more and your information autofills. You spent less than 3 minutes on an advertisement. We run instant for certain campaigns, but you have to have the right offer and the right back end process upon lead submission. And that's what's missing with a lot of people. If they want prepay over the phone, or you don't have the scripting of the process for them to prepay online, what does that nitty gritty process really look like to get a lead through the door? Since they either won't prepay, or you're getting leads in mass, so you don't have a process to receive them. There's a lot of levels within that, and we have some really good solutions. I can't wait to
Yeah.
honestly share my script when the time's right for that, because I had an office up in Muskego, Wisconsin, and they get prepaid leads all the time through scripting we provide.
Yeah. So our internal solution, just to make this very straightforward and very simple, for anybody who's doing contouring or they're doing um, any sort of joint pain treatments, whether it's soft wave, shockwave, something like that, is really going to be our performance-based program. There are some companies out there that have done some sort of like a pay-per-lead solution, but really at the end of the day, what we do differently is that we don't charge anything for marketing, and we only ask that the office covers the cost of the advertisements, which obviously is a substantial reduction in risk. Or you could spend the same amount of money that you would, assuming that we would charge a management fee, but instead of paying that to my team, you would be doubling the number of patients that you would be able to acquire in a month. The nice thing is, as well, when a patient pays up front, we are essentially guaranteeing the lead quality. Obviously, if they're paying before they book an appointment, it means they're already invested in the service. And then, of course, when they are financially invested in the service and the appointment, they have an 85 to 90% both booked and show rate. Now we create targeted ads. Those leads are then sent through a custom funnel that we've built out for them, and then they book and pay online in advance. Once again, all before you even know they exist. Your office only receives data from patients, so like their name, phone number, email, what they paid, what service they're coming in for, stuff like that. After they complete the payment process. So it's very specific for body contouring and for joint pain through soft wave, shock wave, sound wave, stem wave, med wave, those devices like that. For very specific treatments. I mean, we have an entire backend, which I'm not going to go into today. I don't really want it to be all about that, but it is something that a lot of our clients have said makes marketing the easiest thing that they've ever done, or it makes it the easiest marketing program that they've ever done, which is pretty cool. The other thing as well that we have that I'm, at least at this moment, I can guarantee I've never heard someone say it before. We have a full plug and play AI booking system, which I don't even know, Natasha, if I've mentioned this to you guys before or not, but here it is. So it's included for any of our performance programs because obviously my team wants to get the best results on this. But let's say you have a decompression campaign, or let's say you have a neuropathy campaign, or let's say you just do a general chiropractic campaign because we don't do a general chiropractic campaign, but you're using somebody else. We consolidate all of your leads into our CRM, our high level. Once again, we don't charge you for it. And then the cool thing is you initiate touch points with leads. So you can have your automations. So like an auto text that goes out. And then typically what we have offices do is select all of the patients that are not booked for an appointment and send them a bulk text message every single day. Our system, regardless of when this lead responds, or if they respond to the automated initial messages, our system is going to go back and forth with them all via text message, all automatically. And then if you decide that you want to go in and you want to have it be overridden, where maybe you pause, like let's see here, like you can have them like have it be paused. So, for example, if you need to pause the automation for an hour because you're going to message them back and forth, great, we can do that. If you want to have it pause for the rest of the day or until tomorrow at 9 a.m., it can do that. Or if you want to have it pause for a week or like indefinitely. So what's really cool is they can go and book online if you have an online scheduling link, or we can have it set up where there's a notification that goes directly to the office to notify them to then make an outbound phone call to the patient. If it's after hours, our system knows what your office hours are and it knows what time it is. So if it's after hours, it'll say somebody would have to reach out to you in the morning. Is there a rough time that we could, get in contact with you? The big highlight of this really is that there's very little to no human interaction required at all. Once again, leads are follow up with via text message. The system's going to book them all on its own. Once they book, our system will see it and it will stop messaging them, or it'll message them as it relates to their booked appointment. Just to give a little proof in the pudding, it looks so real that We never have people ask us if it's a robot. Nobody sends a message. It's not a FAQ robot where you send a message and then it outputs the same message over and over and over. Like if I say appointments and I just type appointments, it's not just going to send a list of appointment times or a link. It's going to say, I would assume you're trying to book an appointment. What days and times work best for you, or it'll automatically send that link over. The key piece with this, and the reason I know no one else is doing this, is because nobody else gives their clients a big overview. And later on in this presentation, in a couple slides down here, I'm going to actually go into a little bit more of an in-depth strategy. And it's going to be very simple, but you're going to be like, all right, I could see how that would make sense and how it works. The follow-up and how we respond and communicate with people is the most important part. So our robot does all of it automatically. And like I said, you don't even have to be doing one of our marketing programs. You can strap it onto the back end of any program that you're doing. And I think I mentioned this on um, a further down slide, I believe. Um, if you have an old lead list, let's say you're running a neuropathy campaign and you've been running neuropathy campaigns for 3 years, we can take all of those contacts, load them into the system, and then we can send a bulk text message out to 50 people every 10 minutes, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and it can round robin those leads until they tell you to leave them alone, send stop, or if they want to book or request a time, they can do that too. Um, you do need to like schedule an outbound message, but it only takes about 10 seconds to do. So I always say you start it and it will finish the job for you. So that you don't even have to remember about it. And then once again, obviously convenience of this is very high conversion rate. Imagine it's the perfect staff member that's perfectly trained every single time just to answer the questions for you. And then I always say this is great for offices that have a busy schedule, once again, or are looking to be busy, but maybe don't have the overhead or the capability to go and hire someone, or maybe they're closed or they closed early on a weekday, like maybe they close at 5, but a lot of their leads submit their info after hours, which is a very common thing that we hear. And the only way to handle that is to either make initial phone calls, like, first thing the next day. But if somebody submits their info late Friday night and you call them on Monday, right, assuming that's the next day that you're open, the odds that you get a hold of somebody are statistically very low, no matter what you do, no matter how many times you call, no matter how many times you text, whatever. But if they do respond automatically right there and then, our system can take it all of the responsibility off of you guys. Um, just to give you an idea, I would say this hidden perk is cheaper than hiring a staff member. Also, you don't have to train them because we train the robot. So it takes about 2 days to set up, and it costs about $1,000 a month per service per office location. So anyway, enough about that. Now, why does effective follow-up strategy? Why is it so important? Offices lose leads simply because, just like I said on the last slide, the office is closed. They're not fast enough to follow up with them, or they're not consistent enough. So instead of spending an hour and a half, let's boil it down. Ready? Let's say you only spend 30 minutes throughout the day with patients in and out, texting people back and forth or making phone calls, right? With our AI system, it drops it down to about 30 seconds. The total investment, top to bottom, 30 seconds for every lead, no matter how many leads you have. So that's the cool part. But it's tough when we have some offices. There's a guy that we work with that has 3 office locations in Florida, and every day the guy's getting like 20 to 30 leads. This is for a neuropathy campaign.
Mhm.
It's nearly impossible for his team, even though he has 2 girls full time, all they do is follow up with leads. If you're getting, let's say, 20 leads a day per office location, that's 60 leads a day times 30, that's 1,800 leads a month. You're not able to reach out to the people that submitted their info a week ago because your entire day is full following up with people that submitted their info today or yesterday. So you run into like a massive throughput issue, right? And then that's where the call centers get really expensive too. So the more touch points, I think everybody understands this, the more you tap somebody on the shoulder, the more likely they are to answer and are more likely to convert into an appointment. However, our basic follow-up strategy, and I'm going to give you like the most dumbed down, boring, simple, basic, plain follow-up strategy. Daily automated text, 30 seconds max. You send it to everybody, you bulk text. You want to push them toward an action step. So what are you looking to get them to do? I don't want them to text me back. I want to see if they have question, and I want to book an appointment. We want to make sure that every text that we send is pushing them to that objective. Of course, unless they tell us to like leave them alone, right? Then at that point, obviously, we just want to kind of unsubscribe them because they're not interested. We don't want to pester people that aren't interested. And then, of course, reducing no-shows. Typically, most of our leads that submit their information online with the AI chatbots or with our performance programs, they're going to a scheduling page where they're actually required to pay. Once again, if there is an objection where, like somebody just refuses to pay online, it can always kick over the office's phone number, but it's not going to try and book them and kind of fold maybe like a staff member that is unprepared to handle an objection would. So it leaves it up to the office's discretion at that point as to whether or not they're going to take the patient because they're clearly objecting it over text. My baseline strategy, and I just want to make sure that I have this here. Yeah. Okay. So this is the slide that I wanted to bring this up on. The easiest strategy is to not call offices or to not, oh my God, to not call patients at the exact same time every single day.
Oh yeah.
For example, if I call Foster every single day at 9 a.m. because he had his car get hit once when we were on a team vacation, right? And we got back and he had his car insurance company. They tried to call him every single day to get like an update or whatever. And he was always on a phone call. They called like within 5 minutes every single time. And the long and the short in that story is calling someone at the exact same time every single day only benefits you. It doesn't benefit them. It also doesn't increase your probability of getting a hold of them. So what we do on our end, very simply put, is we always teach our clients to call it 9, 11, 1, 1:30, 2, 2:30, 3:30, and then like at 5 or like 5:30 or 6.
Mhm.
Okay. The problem is sometimes the office closes at like 4 or 5. So you have to try and grab people right before the office closes. And what I know is that it's very difficult to convince someone to make a phone call or to send a bunch of text messages and then have to respond at the end of the day. Once again, that's kind of where our AI chatbot, robot, texter thing comes into play. Um, One big piece to that to wrap this up is I always recommend a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then you switch to a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. So new leads, let's say they submit their info on a Monday, they're going to get a phone call Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they're going to get a phone call Friday, and then the following Monday, to Wednesday, Friday, and then you can roll them into a Tuesday or a Thursday. But really, what you're trying to do is block off slots on a calendar. So 9 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, I'm going to call them at 1:30 p.m. Friday, I'm going to call them at 4:30 because the office closes at 5. Let's say Tuesday, I'm going to call them at 11. Thursday, I'm going to call them at 2. Right. So I'm going to try and vary the days of the week. And then the nice thing is that we can flip flop that and then just reverse the time. So for example, the next week might be a Tuesday, Thursday. We might call them on Tuesday at 9 a.m. And then Thursday, we might call them at the end of the day, right at 5. And then the next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll call them at 11 on Monday. Wednesday, we'll call them at 2. And then Thursday, maybe we'll do like a late lunch, maybe like a 3:15.
So if I could add in, Andrew, there's an underlying point to share with everyone here, and it's something that I'm surprised I help people realize every day when they're doing follow that, let's say, is not supported by AI, because not all of us are so privy or wanting to implement something like that. Let's say we are just wanting to be manual our entire lives, and that's a lot of people. Make time.
Which sounds horrible, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
There's no, yeah. Anyway,
The
sorry.
point is to make time. We all really struggle with timing because we're in demand. And, I mean, a lot of y'all see my books, as I've said before, it's stacked day by day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. back to back. And, if I don't make time for something, it's not going to happen. God forbid, I don't have kids yet, so I don't know how y'all do it. However, making time for these things matters, and if it's on the schedule, then it will happen. Another point to share is a lot of people in this followed time, a part of their strategy is they only make phone calls. Maybe they leave voice messages, but we have 3 mediums: phone calls, text messages, and emails. And we have to use all 3. Otherwise, we're only guessing what resonates with someone. I'm in my mid-20s. I like to text. I personally despise email. And if I can, then I'll do a phone call. My mom, she's in her late 50s and she loves texting. Her email is trodden full with thousands of emails. And if you email her, she just thinks you're a scammer. And my dad, he's in his early 60s. If you whisper the word text message to him, he falls apart. But at the end of the day, in his original AOL email address, it's clear every single day. So everyone's preferred medium is different. So you have to use all of them. If you're going to forget one, forget email because it's slow. Every passing day, it's more akin to smoke signals. But don't just call. Don't forget your voicemail and always text people because many of us use that as an incremental to-do list or checklist by the end of the day to handle something. And within the text messages, personalize them. Andrew can tell, Natasha, D, I can tell, and you can tell if it's a canned text message. Mention the day, the time of day. Good afternoon. Hope you're having a lovely Monday today. Patient name. Here's why I reached out to you. I'm here till 5 today. Would love, use the word love, to reconnect with you and get you on the schedule or discuss your X condition. You want to personalize those things because remember, when someone interacts with, let's say, an advertisement on Facebook, they then get plugged into a certain pocket with Facebook and they're shown more, let's say, weight loss ads than just your own. So you're not the only person now reaching out to them. And why follow-up and structured follow-up matters and personalized follow-up matters, you now need to stand out from the crowd in consistency and level of care and attention. So I hope that helps a lot in terms of what a manual process looks like.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the script that you have, I wouldn't say that we need to go through and read in depth on it,
It's really
but
cool if you like.
the biggest piece really is making sure that if we get someone to pay when they're on the phone or get them to take an action step to build the investment and the engagement, that's really what drives them over the finish line, right? Like if we're just booking someone for an appointment, it's not hard to get somebody on the phone. It's hard to get somebody on the phone and have a meaningful conversation. If I get intro to someone, let's say it's another office, I'm going to ask them questions about their business. And then I'm going to say, okay, that makes sense. I have a guy, I'm going to come up with a relevant example. All right. I have a guy, oh, yeah, I have a guy that we work with that does the same thing. I'm really excited for the opportunity to be able to talk with you, right? Just something simple that lets them know that it's not my first time here. I've been here before is, I guess, really a big piece as well. With you guys, as it relates to in-office scheduling, I think if you're putting a dollar amount on the offer, it's not crazy for you to request or require that amount of money up front. And that's where Foster script comes into play. So
So I
anybody that wants it, and Foster, you can say whatever you want, but at the end of this, I'll put up Foster's email. And if you want to request it, you can send Foster an email and he can send it over to you.
Yeah, Andrew, if you'd like to stop your screen share and I'll run you all through this quick little script real quick. As I was
Sure.
saying, maybe you saw earlier in the recording when I was talking, my doorbell rang, my cleaner showed up late and my dog started barking. So I apologize for that. But now I can actually show you what this lady in Muskego deployed with us along with dozens and dozens of other offices. In this case, it's primarily used for offers like neuropathy or joint pain that don't have a prepayment associated either because there's not a treatment to leverage for prepayment or it's just not the demographic of payment that patient that prepays online. So the last thing we want to do, as we covered prior, is say when you come in the office, then you'll prepay. But the point of the prepayment is not to make $49. That excites none of us. The point of the prepayment is to make sure we're not twiddling our thumbs when the patient does or doesn't show, or maybe they're late. The prepayment simply makes sure they're as committed to the appointment as we are. So let me go ahead and share my entire screen here, and I will run you through that scripting. So I have this pulled up. Can you guys see this okay?
Now we can.
Now you can. Perfect.
Yep.
So X prepayment collection of a phone. Let's say this is towards the end of the scheduling conversation. You'll see this is very assumptive. They want, let's say, Friday at 3:30. All right, Mrs. Sarah, based upon everything we've discussed, it looks like your case is very similar to nearly every patient we've helped within X, let's say neuropathy. So I can't express how excited I am to meet with you, or our doctor is, or we are to meet with you. The last thing we need to do to go and support that 3 p.m. appointment on Friday, the 8th, is to process that $49 prepayment. Will that be a debit or credit card I'm putting in my payment processor here? You see how it's assumptive? If it says online that it comes at a cost, then I'm just going to assume you're ready with your card. if I think it's normal, then it should be normal to you. And there's a good chance we're going to curb their hesitation immediately by saying, will that be a debit or credit card? Right? Now, it's either going to give it to you and life is done, or they're going to give some type of pushback. My dad's the type of guy that would give some pushback. He says, oh, well, I don't want to put my card online, or I never give my card over the phone, or whatever. Or maybe they're lying and pretending all of a sudden this is the one moment in their life that they somehow don't have their wallet or purse with them. Well, Miss Sarah, I can completely understand you being hesitant to put your card details over the phone. But I hope from what you see online and our conversation today and what you can find on the internet to truly verify we really are here in Tampa, that you can come to provide those details to secure your appointment. We require this simply to ensure you're as committed to the appointment as we are, as this is a very busy office. And frankly, no-shows and cancellations are very difficult for us, as we could have helped someone else. So, of course, alternative to paying with me here, I can give you our address and you're more than welcome to just stop by, pay that amount, and our team will get you scheduled then and there. And that is the whole deal. You see, I stick to my guns at the end. If you won't give me your payment over the phone, you're just going to have to stop by and pay, and we'll get you scheduled then. But I cannot put anything on the books unless you prepay. And you will see
Yeah.
people either change their tune, or if they won't prepay and they're up in arms, then they weren't going to show up
Well,
anyway.
they weren't going to show up for the appointment. Exactly. Yeah.
So I hope that really helps a lot of y'all. I've given that to hundreds of people. It will work for you. It's a matter of deploying, and that's it. Or you just sign
Yeah.
up with us for an advertising program that leverages treatment and online prepayment. You don't have to do any of that. Ta-da.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, and that's kind of like the overarching thing, right? Regardless, once again, if you use us or not, there are things that we have that can be like a Iron Man suit, right? We don't have to be the entire person and the suit doing everything, but if we can make you guys more efficient, we can give you guys better strategies, better systems that you guys can deploy, and some plugins that make your life a heck of a lot easier. Why not? So this is my next slide. I just jumped down one. I want to talk about simplifying our CRM and lead tracking. So, like I said, I have multiple clients that use us for advertisements, but that will use our high level account as a central hub for all of their leads for all of their marketing. So even if they don't actually use us, they'll still use our system just because we don't charge for it. And it allows you guys as the office to have all of your leads very well organized. We already have all sorts of pre-canned scripts, processes, and procedures laid out for automated text messages, everything like that. And they all get customized to the office. So the reason that we do that is because it allows us internally, transparently, just to see what you're advertising for. It lets us know kind of what the heartbeat of the market is. It also gives you that centralized location where you don't magically forget about something because you got too busy, or you lose someone behind a page because you got too busy. So, like I said, we use high level. Everybody uses high level. That's part of the problem, actually. The other part of the problem is that, once again, they're all in different systems, and each system has their own different way of things working. The other problem is that a lot of people say that they have like a really robust backend system that's built out, or maybe they have something that's like a bicycle but on training wheels, right? And I always kind of goof around with people, and I always say a lot of people say they have a Ferrari, but it's a Toyota Camry with a body kit. Not that there's anything wrong with the Toyota Camry. However, it's just not going to be as fast as an actual Ferrari. So, by allowing us to use some of the systems that we have internally and deploy those systems into your office, whether it's to reactivate patients, streamline your process, consolidate everyone into one simple place, even requeue or set specific tasks to follow up with certain leads. Because let's say you fall into the pattern of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, kind of like what I ran through before. Who's auditing that, right? If there's a task that's created for each person when the follow-up's supposed to be done, that gives us a true audit trail of what was supposed to be done and when it was supposed to be done. Then it's up to the deployment of the team in the office to actually do that. Right now, once again, if you're doing something more AI based, once again, not everybody wants to, but cars can drive themselves. Let's be real. They just caught a spaceship out of the sky like last week that was falling at like 1,000 miles an hour or something like that. Like, you should have something probably that's enabled a little bit to make your life a little easier rather than your staff member who's stressed out at the front desk, having to now text people back in between filling out intake forms and scheduling appointments and, running the rest of the show. Um, the key with this, once again, by simplifying your approach and porting all leads into one system, whether it's my team system or if you have your own high level, whatever it is, it just allows you to have it all in one spot. So saves time for your staff, reduces the chance of missed leads. Like I said, success in action. Our robot over the past 30 days has booked 3,000 appointments. I checked. I made this slide earlier today. So it has booked all of these through text message and it just links them direct to the page, or we can integrate it where our system reads your schedule and then it knows exactly what it is. Now, for some of our offices that don't use like a review wave or like online booking or something like that, which once again, I would encourage you to kind of get with the times. Like I can go and schedule my oil change, right? They probably should be able to book an appointment with you. But if you don't, we can have it where they can, be directed. It can answer any questions and just direct people to call the office to book with the scheduling team direct. Once again, that way you don't accidentally have like a double or triple booking on something. Key features of that, obviously, then if we do get them to book, pay, and schedule, once again, all fully automated. Or if you have them doing it over the phone, high show up rates. You're going to have a 85 to 90% both booked and show rate if you have a patient pay in advance online and request an appointment time. AI perk, once again, is going to be zero staff involvement at all. You have enough things going on. Sometimes it's better just to pass it off to somebody who does it perfectly. And then the bottom line is it's not just convenient, but it also makes sure that you actually drive actionable results for your practice rather than hoping that a system that you maybe kind of sort of thought about working on, or maybe even you got a system from Natasha's team, right? Maybe you kind of sort of deployed it. We can 100% guarantee that those strategies and those systems are getting deployed. Your team's still able to do their part, but our team acts and our software acts as that Iron Man suit. It just helps you do what you were going to do the first time better. Um, Same thing as well, optimizing for action. So another key thing that we have here, this slide was ridiculously long. I remember this now. Another thing is optimizing for action. So it's easy to get somebody to submit their info, and it takes a trained salesperson, and I say salesperson very specifically, a salesperson to get someone to pay all over text message. You have to really learn to stand your line. You have to learn to stand your ground. And there are a lot of really common mistakes. For example, a lot of marketing companies, just not to name any names, but they focus on lead gen, but they don't care about in-office conversion. They don't do anything to support their clients, like we do. And then really, like once again, anything that's focusing on converting interest into action, if it's incomplete, you're leaving money on the table. You're already paying for it. Why would you not maximize the return that you have? And then, like I said, our system is designed, once again, whether it's an AI or you're just dropping all of our stuff into our system, or you're just deploying my Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday system, where you're just scrambling the times that you call them. Our system is designed to eliminate all of those problems, but I will tell you one thing and one thing only. We have tried everything under the sun to do other things that can get us as high of a booked and show rate as a payment. There is nothing that has come close. I can have people double confirm on the phone. You're going to get about a 65% show rate. I have different tricks to get people onto the phone with about a 50% answer rate, which is huge for follow up. I have all sorts of tricks up my sleeve for each step of the way. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to whether or not they show up for an appointment. And then you have to go back to the marketing company once you finally get patients in, and now you can start tweaking quality. And a lot of marketing companies aren't well equipped to actually make any legitimate tweaks, short of hearing you say the words that are coming out of your mouth, which is kind of one of the things that upsets me the most about our industry, honestly. But um, outside of that, why offices have marketing issues, once again, just to summarize here, and then I figure I was going to try and open it up to any questions that we'd have, but main issues, lack of leads. If we're able to solve lack of leads, then we have poor follow-up. Once we have good follow-up, now we get people on the schedule. Maybe they show up, maybe they don't. Then at that point, then we run into low quality leads where the marketing company has to tweak how we're presenting ourselves online to attract the right type of people. And then I put here a little note, the pure chaos of swapping I guess I should put, of swapping between different systems and different CRMs and different processes for one marketing company and your EMR, EHR versus the other systems with other companies.
I mean,
Um,
if I could make what Andrew's saying even more simpler than he's made it, because I think he's done a really good job at explaining the same thing 3 or 4 different ways. There are 3
yeah,
barriers to success. You need leads, you need them to show, and you need them to close. Any marketing company can get you leads. It's the process of the company or your own that gets them to book and show. And it is then your own process and the process that companies like ours and Natasha's helps you with that helps you close. End all be all, can't do it all alone, and we can always be better. You
yeah,
know,
exactly. Exactly. I do have this last little page here. If you're interested in talking with Foster, I'm a big fan of QR codes. These they should work perfectly. I'm going to try and not put my mouse over it so that it breaks it. The performance-based programs. So if you have contouring or you do soft wave, shock wave, stem wave, acoustic wave therapy, anything like that, really, feel free to hop on a Foster schedule. It's the QR code on the left, just so you have an idea of what pricing's like. It's cheaper pretty much than any other marketing program that I'm pretty sure you'd be on. It's 2,000 a month minimum ad spend. There's like $20 extra in expenses per month, but it's pretty much 2 grand. So I just like to put 2 grand flat.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not anything significant, but there is something. So I just like to put 2 grand a month. The AI booking bot, if for some reason you want to talk to me about that, like I said, lots of our offices have it where we don't even run the ads, but they have thousands of leads from the past. And they're getting a bunch of leads now from current marketing efforts. Once again, maybe not with our team. Uh, and they want us to deploy their system in. We do have a 3-month minimum on it. It's $1,000 a month. There's no initial setup fee, but if you do ever decide that you want to swap between services, let's say you're running a neuropathy campaign, and then you want to switch to a knee pain campaign, $1,000 a month, and then $250 to swap, and you can swap whenever you'd like. So,
Yeah. All right,
That's
guys.
a great deal. It's less than having an employee or paying a call center company to do that.
it's
So
a fraction, and it's
oh my
and it's
gosh.
I promise you, it is. I mean, there's no way that you could have, even if I was the one sitting there doing perfect follow up, I wouldn't have as much success as it does.
It's like I
So
always say, it's an amazing but a scary thing. AI is becoming more educated, consistent, and dare I say, empathetic than
Yeah.
staff.
it's not scary. I don't, anybody who thinks it's scary or anybody who thinks it looks like an actual robot, you would never be able to tell. It acts like a staff member. I could even name it after your front desk person. It does not matter.
Yeah.
So, and no one would ever know, short of your staff member not being aware of what's going on, because once again, they maybe are dropping the ball in the follow-up process. And then they don't read the text messages because we all know how staff members work sometimes. They get busy. They're doing a million and one other things. Sometimes not even their fault, right? But the only time that it would ever really catch them up is if they were like, "Oh, I didn't text you," and it was the robot texting them, and they just didn't check the patient, conversation before they talked to him. So
Yeah.
that's really about it.
So we still got about 13 minutes till we got to head off here. Does anyone have any questions or follow-up points of clarification? We've done a lot of talking here.
No, I just want to say how awesome it's been working with you guys, me personally, for my offices. And then I would have loved to seen, because I've kind of seen some of the stuff with the AI and how it like literally seamlessly has conversations with people. Like, is this a robot? And the way that it answers that, it's pretty hilarious. So
yeah.
I think it's awesome. There's consistency there. It doesn't allow, like, they're not going to get emotional or their feelings hurt, because it's not a person.
Well, just to give you an idea, we've had 3 million conversations this year. Okay. We've only had 5 people ever ask, "Is this a robot?"
Yeah.
Yep.
So, that's not enough. That's like 0.00000 something percent, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, even if they do, it's going to give a good answer, But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's super exciting to see what that's going to do. It's going to help tremendously because, it can work all the time.
And that And that little bit of gold I shared, let's say you do nothing with us today and you just walk away with what you learned. I'm going to share over to Natasha and the rest of her team that script. I have never released it to the public, but now I have. And that's thanks to the amazing relationships Natasha's so good at garnering, you know. So I'm going to share that with her so she can share this along with the recording. And, you know, at the worst, feel free to send us a thank you once it works.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I sure appreciate it. Dee,
Yeah.
do you have any questions, specific questions? I'm going to have to jump off here in just a minute because I got to get on another call. But that was awesome. You guys bring so much value. I mean, I always tell people my story of like, if it wasn't for you during COVID, I would be, you know, wondering if there would still be a practice. You know, we closed $25,000 a week in weight loss plans because of the ads that you guys had us moving on. And then time and time again with the neuropathy ads that you've done in the office, just spike the amount of people that we were taking care of. Because, you know, we had other things like the TV, the Beacon newspaper, all of this stuff, which really brands us. But then there was a call to action for the person to finally do it. So I think it's important to have diversification in what you do. But I know because these people had signed up through Facebook, those were the ads that you guys are running. So you've knocked it out of the park. So many years now. It's been what, 6 years? So I greatly appreciate it, and just wanted to make sure you guys were on to be able to help anybody else who catches this now or at a later time.
Thank you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. I think a lot of information from, you know, like you talking about the lack of automation, you're talking about, you know, lead submission, lead forms, the AI bots, the whole thing. So everybody that is watching this, that watches this, if you have questions, please reach out to Foster and Andrew. These are the guys that you want to talk to. Even if you're working with somebody already, they can point you in the right direction of maybe what you're needing to improve your ads, and then also on the back end. So make sure that you reach out to these guys, and appreciate you both for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks for
All
having
right.
us.
Bye,
Okay,
y'all.
bye guys.
See you guys.